if someone passed away. So today I'm gonna read this book for you. Dear reader, dear reader, coping with a death of someone can be very sad, stressful and confusing time. And grown up don't always know how to explain this to you or how to answer all the questions you might have. Finding the right words to talk about death is difficult, and people struggle with what to say and how to manage all the emotions surrounding it, because grown-ups are worried about saying the wrong thing. They sometimes avoid talking about death altogether. This book is all about death. It explains what death is, why people die, how people might react to someone dying, and what happens after a person has died. It also looks at all the things you can do to help remember them. You might be reading this book because someone you know has died, or you might be reading it because you want to know more about death. Either way, you will find the answers to, to lots of questions, and also tips on how to cope with all the different things, the different feelings that may bubble up when someone you know dies. It's good to know. It's good to know. You might read this book on your own, or an adult might be sharing it with you. Ask an adult if you can. They can help you understand. This book is for children. Was it death? When you are alive, your hearts beat. Our hearts beat. We breathe. We eat. We drink. We feel cold or hot. We feel pain and we feel emotions. We can move, talk, and think. A dead person doesn't do any of these things. So people who died don't feel anything like when we're alive. When someone dies, their heart stops beating, they stop breathing, and their brain shuts down. A dead person stops doing the things they did when they were alive. When a person dies, they don't need their body anymore. Dead people cannot go back to being the person they were, and they never come back to life. It's important to know. Some people get very ill before they die. This can mean they know pain, they're in pain, no longer able to walk, and are sometimes not aware of what's going on around them. When these people die, they are no longer in pain. Dead people often look really calm and peaceful. Are there different words for death? Because people feel so sad when someone dies, they don't like to just blast out the word death. Instead, they use words they think sound gentler and less shocking or upsetting. When you are young, these words can seem confusing. Some people say a person has passed away or passed on to mean the person has died. Other people might say that the dead person has gone to Sometimes when somebody dies, people say that they have lost that person. These are all softer ways of saying that person is dead. Flo sleep away in her sleep. Becky is at rest now. Raymond has gone to meet his maker. It might surprise you to know. It might surprise you to know. There are some funny or silly words that mean to die. These include things like kick it to kick it the bucket, snuff at it, pop it one's clocks, or pushing up the daisies. These words tend not to be used by people who are still very upset about someone dying. Yeah, the thing to know. When I talk about someone pass away, why do people die? Just like plants and animals, nobody lives forever. We will all die at some time in the future. For most people, this happens when they are old and have lived a long life. It's more unusual, but a small number of people died before they are old, and this can be especially sad or seem unfair. I want you to live forever, Granddad. So cute. This is someone in a hospital. Some people die because they have a serious illness. Their bodies stop working, and even though they try really hard, the doctors can't make them well again. Other people might die as the result of an accident and damages their body, so it can keep them alive anymore. It can't keep them alive anymore. Nobody know when they are going to die, and most people live for a very long time. It's important to know sometimes that is described as going for a very long sleep that you never wake them up from. Um, when people die, they look a bit like they are asleep because they are so still, but sleep and death are very different. You are still alive when you sleep. How will you learn that someone has died? Sometimes we know that a person will die because they have been ill for long time, for some time, and the doctors have said that they have a serious illness that will definitely make them die. When people die like this, everyone can be a bit more prepared for it. Knowing a person who's going to die usually gives a chance to say goodbye, either in person or by sending a message. When a person dies, it's still very distressing, but not completely shock. I love you, Nana. Other deaths are unexpected. This can be because a person has a sudden illness that kills them, or they die in an accident. When a person dies like this, people learn about the death suddenly, often in grown-ups and children in the family hear the news that at the same time. This can make it very shock for everyone. When adults tell you that someone has died, they should be able to explain to you what happened and answer any questions you might have. Often, the adult give you the news will be really upset. If you see them crying, you could give them a hug. It's normal to cry when someone dies. What might feel when someone dies? You might feel really, really sad for longer than you have done before. You might feel angry sometimes about the person dying and sometimes about other things. You might feel worried about any change that might happen because someone has died. Oh, will take me to cinema now? Oh no. You might feel insecure when and you need lots of comfort and support. You might feel alone. You might feel a mixture of feelings that are almost too hard to explain. Sometimes the feeling might be really strong. Sometimes you might feel normal, as if nothing happened. It's important to know the different feelings you might experience when someone dies can be almost possible to explain. They might be painful, and other times just make you feel numb. You might also worry that if you ask adults questions, you will upset them. Almost all of these ways of feelings are completely normal. What might you think when someone dies? You might wonder how your life will change. Who will look after me now? I don't understand why. It's not fair. You might keep wondering why people have to die. You might really, really wish that the person could come back. You might think about other people you care about dying. I'm scared. You might leave me too. You might think it was somehow your fault. It's not your fault. Someone died, not your fault, not anyone's fault. You might find you can't concentrate because lots of different thoughts are swirling around your head, in your head. What did you ask? You might think a lot about the last time you saw the person who died and what you said to them. You might wonder if your life never ever feel normal again. It's important to know when someone dies, you might have lots of questions going round in your head. They might be simple like, what do I tell my friends? Or more complicated like, where do dead people go? Adults will try to answer your question, so don't be afraid to ask. How might you react when someone dies? You might want to be alone and hide away and not talk about anything. You might have pretended conversations with the person who has died. We got new kitten today. You might cry for a long time. You might find it's hard to sleep. We might ask for lots of cuddles, want to hear kind words. You might want to carry on as normal. You might want to ask lots of questions about what happened. You might want to talk about how much you miss the person